Hello, I'm constitutional attorney Catherine Henry, and welcome to the Constitution segment recap for Season 2, Episode 10 of Restore Freedom Weekly. This week, we had a fabulous freedom fighting discussion with YouTube sensation Acura Amanda. Keep in mind, this is just a simple recap, so if you want to hear that full discussion and all the different things that we were talking about, including some additional sources, please watch that full episode, the link for which is on slide 2 of today's presentation, and of course, the link for the slideshow is in the description of today's segment. So, the freedom fight can feel daunting at times, and we just need a little encouragement every now and then. So we asked you to join us this Tuesday at noon, where we went live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter to find out about this amazing freedom fighter, First Amendment auditor, and YouTube sensation, who's just a regular person fighting for her children's futures. Now, hearing what she's accomplished and how she sticks with it certainly was encouraging to me, and I'm hoping to you as well. And if you haven't seen that full episode, please do so. All right, so in this wonderful episode that we had on Tuesday with our friend Acura Amanda, we first were talking about First Amendment auditing, essentially showing up and recording, being a member of the media. Representing yourself in court was also a topic that came up, and what standby counsel is and your rights to it, and the topic of appeals and how do you go about handling appeals in a case that you might find yourself in. We talked about knowing the law and how important it was to know the law, to know the source of your rights, to know the source of government authority, and the concept of supporting each other in this grander scheme of things, in the bigger freedom fight. So, with First Amendment auditing and essentially just showing up and recording, what does that look like? Well, there's just a few tidbits, pieces of the Constitution that relate to that, and it depends on what context and what setting you are out there auditing. Amanda talked about scenarios where she was, just happening to see a random traffic stop, and so she just got out of her car and started recording and standing on a sidewalk. There's also times where she's been in a courtroom, or she's been, at local government meetings. A lot of our friends in our growing circle of Constitution freedom fighters can they do various things like that. This is a public service, is a great YouTube channel, and a new friend of mine, and he does a lot of those similar types of things. So at any rate, depending on what location you're at and what's going on, different portions of the Constitution might be relevant to you. So, just kind of touching on some of them, some key concepts. Number one, all political power is inherent in the people, no matter what room or building you're in. That's something that you want to remember, and that is in both the Florida and Michigan state constitutions. And if you're in a different state, likely in yours as well. Basic rights to enjoy and defend life and liberty, and to possess and protect property. Of course, this portion is specifically quoted right from the Florida State Constitution, but the Florida and Michigan constitutions talk about that right to peaceably assemble, instruct your representatives, and petition your government for a redress of grievances. Of course, so does the U.S. Constitution. And then this is an interesting one, the way that it's worded in the Florida Constitution, that courts shall be open to every person for redress of any injury, and justice shall be administered without sale, denial, or delay. You also have the right to access of public records and public meetings. Looking at the Florida State Constitution and the Michigan State Constitution as well. You have the right to public trials, and I only put the Sixth Amendment in here from the U.S. Constitution, but that portion is also guaranteed to you in your state constitution as well. You have the right to free speech and free press in general, of course, that being in the Florida State Constitution and the Michigan State Constitution, as well as, you guessed it, the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. And just rounding it out with things to remember, that we the people retain ultimate control and authority. And you can look at that U.S. Constitution, Article 4, Section 4, where we are guaranteed that Republican form of government. Now, we also talked about representing yourself in court and the concept of doing that with standby counsel, an attorney who's there to assist you, but not actually represent you or speak for you. And we also talked about appeals and what those look like. So, when it comes to standby counsel, I just wanted to throw in here some important concepts that you have the right to have standby counsel. That means a licensed attorney who's there to simply give you advice, but doesn't have to be the one totally representing you. You can maintain that management and control of your own defense, especially in a criminal case. And I threw some U.S. Supreme Court cases that speak to that as well. And a few different points, basically all getting to kind of the same thing, but I wanted to leave all of those in there for you. Now, we're not going to go into appeals in detail here because we've actually had several episodes where that's all we went over. And so you could check out the videos or the Constitution segment recaps from season 1, episode 23, 28, and 33, or season 2, episode 9. Now, knowing the law, first of all, you need to know the source of your rights. Second of all, you need to know the source of government authority. And then you could take it a step further and, of course, know the actual law that follows from that. But the law doesn't really matter much if you don't understand the source of your rights or the source of government authority, because there are a lot of bad and unconstitutional laws out there. So the basics, and we've talked about this in much more detail in a lot of prior episodes, but governments are instituted to protect our God-given rights. Yes, I said God-given rights because we get our rights from God, not the government. And all of our government is based around that very fact. And government itself has no rights. In fact, government only has those powers which we specifically delegate to it. So, we the people created our Constitution and our very form of government. And of course, the US Constitution is the supreme law of the land. So, no federal law, no state law, no state constitutional provision, no court order, no executive order, nothing, no government action can be repugnant to the Constitution. If it is, it's void on its face. It's as though it never even happened. So, this means government cannot act unless there is a specific power granted to it by the Constitution, and government is specifically prohibited from doing anything that violates either the U.S. or state constitutions. And just a reminder, every government official is sworn to the oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution. And if they're a state or local official, they're also sworn to uphold the state constitution. Now, the source of authority I left in here, especially if you're going to be doing some auditing of your local government meetings, court proceedings, whatever, I wanted to leave in here some of the basics about the source of authority for local governments in the Michigan State Constitution, in the Florida State Constitution, and then state law for Florida and the state law for Michigan. So you could check out the powers that are delegated specifically to local governments. And when it comes to knowing any other types of law, of course, there's lots out there. There's far too many laws on the books than there ever should be, but it's important for you to know them, because what is the most important thing to remember about the law? Well, it's not just for attorneys to tell you what's in there or judges to decide what it's all about. No, it's a law based on a government of we the people. So you don't need an attorney or a judge to read it for you and tell you that law is there for you. You have access to it and you should read it and study it and know it. Same thing with the Constitution. Now, don't forget also one of the main points here is that it's important that we support each other in this fight for freedom, that we the people stick together when fighting back against this government tyranny. Make sure, if you want any more information, you check out that full episode from this Tuesday, that Wednesday Way to Get Involved challenge we shared with you yesterday, and of course, we'll have in store for you tomorrow our Friday Freedom Fighting Tools. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, and share Restore Freedom.